Emil Guevara. Goodbye and farewell, right? Emil Guevara, please.
Dear professors, representatives of the Faculty of Psychology, Edukal Institute, Department of Social Psychology, university staff, family and friends, and to everyone watching this, and of course to my dear Wop-Ps, good afternoon to all of you all. It is an honor to speak on behalf of some of the most brilliant people I've met in my career. People who over the past few years have called multiple countries home, lived different lives, and who now can explain what work, organizational, and personal psychology is when our parents and families ask us. Hopefully. People who, over the past few years, decided to be my friends. Some became my families, and all of whom taught me many things about life. Funny enough, this is the second time that I'm delivering this speech. A few days ago, I was writing it on a train from Madrid, and I ran it through with 3 strangers from the south of the United States, who are about my age and happened to be sitting nearby. We shared stories, and I took the opportunity to ask for their feedback, because what we've learned is feedback is a gift. And turns out they're a bunch of lawyers, which explained why most of the feedback was focused on the sentence structure and logical flow of the speech. But anyway, that spontaneous moment captured what I wanted to speak about today: novelty, complexity, and perspective change. The 3 dimensions of what makes a psychologically rich life. So allow me to take you on a short journey, like the train ride that I mentioned, through these dimensions, because together I believe they describe the life we've lived over the past 2 years. But let me begin properly with a question. Raise your hand if at some point in your childhood you were asked this familiar question. What do you want to be when you grow up? We're told this question is innocent, harmless, but I would argue otherwise. First, it tells us that work is everything. that our worth lies in our job titles as a child, that adulthood is defined not by growth, curiosity, or kindness. Second, there's identity foreclosure. In psychology, that's what happens when we commit to a life without exploring alternatives. What if along the way we change our mind and actually find something that is more interesting in us? And third, it implies that life is linear, that we pick a destination, walk a straight line toward it, and voila, we live a good life. But as we know through life lessons, both kind and unkind, that life is not linear. Life has its ups and downs, twists and turns, and many surprises. Like waking up to your WhatsApp before a big presentation at 9 a.m. after Dorothea bombarded the group with 1,000 questions. Or spiraling into an existential crisis at 2 a.m. over Soarea for the third time around. Sometimes it all felt unreal, like we were living in a simulation, like our winter school era. And just a week after, you're packing your bags for a country you never imagined yourself living in. Like all of a sudden, we see the stories of Anastasia living her Canadian girl era in her IG stories. What I'm trying to say is, we can plan and plot all we want, but life has a way of surprising us anyway. Many events shape our lives and careers, but sometimes it's the small conversations at the end of the day or over a cup of coffee that can change everything. For me, it was a Sunday afternoon when a friend asked me this question. If you could do one crazy thing in your 20s, what would you do? I said, move as far as I can, live across countries, earn a master's, meet people from every corner of the world. That quiet Sunday question turned into a life-altering decision, one that led me to our master's program and the Erasmus scholarship. And in 2023, I took the bold step to move to the EU, living my career in the Philippines, and carrying my life in 3 suitcases and documents bearing my hopes for a new life. Acceptance forms, scholarship letters, and 1,000 dreams pressed between pieces of paper. As someone from a developing country, being awarded a full-ride scholarship to study abroad felt like being invited through the front door that is often closed to people like us. I didn't sneak in. I didn't have to push my way through. I was invited with a seat at the table, and that is a privilege I carry with humility. I left behind the comfort of familiarity, my family, and a version of myself who wasn't sure if I belonged here. And I won't lie, there were moments I felt lost, overwhelmed, and almost about to crumble. I'm sure many of us did. They're all crying at this point. Especially those who left home behind and haven't seen their families in what feels like forever. But in my most honest moments, I know this. The past 2 years have been nothing short of a gift. Not just for the gift of living in Spain or the amazing things we got to do, but for who we became in the process, the friendships we built along the way, the connections we wouldn't have made otherwise. Some even welcomed me to their family, like Yana in Germany. We lived a psychologically rich life. In psychology, we often hear about 2 kinds of good life, the happy life and the meaningful life. A happy life is marked by comfort, stability, and lots of positive emotions. Were we happy this past 2 years? Debatable. We were uprooted. We became strangers in unfamiliar cities. We navigated visa chaos, housing searches every 6 months, and aula virtual submissions at 11:59 p.m. Our lives weren't stable, but we were alive and full of life. A meaningful life, on the other hand, is guided by purpose. Some of us found it, some of us are still looking for it, and that's okay. As the title of my favorite podcast goes, it's a life in progress. But psychology, Shigoro Huishi, suggests a third path, the psychologically rich life. One not necessarily defined by joy or purpose, but by richness, in novelty, in complexity, and in perspective change. And that's exactly what this past 2 years were all about. We found novelty in new countries and new ways of living. Many of us learned new languages. Some of you even became fluent, like Scott, Maria, and Mariana. We embraced complexity inside the classroom when making sense of theories and designing interventions, writing thesis, or while applying for internships. But let's be honest, at some point you just ask yourself, is this even worth it? It was complex, intense, and a lot of breathing in and breathing out to cope, but we made it. And our perspectives shift. Being immersed in different cultures and ways of thinking challenged what we thought we knew about ourselves, about work, and about others. And in the process, we got to know who we are and who we are not. We let go of assumptions. We became more curious, more compassionate, and more open. We lived a psychologically rich life. And as we reflect on what makes life rich, we cannot ignore how much of it is spent at work. Now let me go back to my first question. We're asked in childhood what we want to be when we grow up. Perhaps because statistically, we live nearly a quarter of our lives at work. For many, it may be even more, not out of ambition, but because of unjust political, social, and economic systems that force people to work simply to survive. And my parents are no stranger to this reality. They work 7 days a week with barely any rest. They didn't have the privilege of even completing their education, but they held in the unshakable belief in the power of it to transform lives. So much of their lives were spent struggling so that we could strive. From an early age, I understood that if I wanted to rise above the life I was born into, I had to work. Work put food on the table. Work kept a roof over our heads. But it gave me also something else, to grow. It led me to great mentors who took a chance to develop me and whose leadership helped me become not just a better professional, but a better human being. It opened doors and gave me the opportunity to move across borders and to pursue this very degree in work psychology. And today, I am here as the first in my family to earn a master's degree, to study abroad. The first to work for global organizations that took me to places. Work is not everything, but it did pave the way for everything I have now, and most importantly, the person I've become. So maybe the question, what do you want to be when you grow up, was never really about the job titles. Maybe it was always about the kind of hope and the person that we want to become. To be as kind and good-hearted as Sangmi, or to be as grateful as Wiki. To be as thoughtful as Hara, or to be a loving, good friend like Beste. And before I end, allow me to honor two people in my life who taught me the value of hard work. My parents. Ma, Pa, you worked tirelessly for us. You gave up your rest so we could chase our dreams. You didn't have the chance to finish your education, but you made sure that we could. You stayed up at night wondering how to feed us, how to pay for our school, and in all of that, you gave me something more valuable than comfort, the discipline. The discipline that carried me forward in life and that got me far in life. Thank you for letting me dream big even when it meant flying far from home. Thank you for letting me spread my wings even when it meant watching me go. You are the greatest inspiration in all of that I do. Thank you for all that you do, and you are. And just as we've embraced novelty, complexity, and new perspectives over the past 2 years, I live with you with 3 invitations for our lives ahead. First, honor the richness of what we've lived. Let's not rush to label the past 2 years as challenging or fun or stressful. Let it be all of that. Let it be human, let it be messy, layered, and worth remembering. Second, welcome complexity in our lives. It's frustrating, it's confusing, but it's also where the best learning happens. Sit with it, learn from it, and welcome it. And finally, to be open to the beauty of the unfamiliar. Keep being curious, keep meeting people who think differently. Every perspective is a gift. If I've learned anything this past 2 years, it's this. Life is richer when it's shared. So thank you, each of you, for sharing yours with me, for making this past 2 years more than just a chapter in a degree, but a chapter in a life well lived. Long live the stories we'll tell about ourselves and about each other. They may not always be happy. They may not always be meaningful, but they are layered, transformative, and psychologically rich. Cheers and congratulations to all of us, the Wop-P class of 2025.
And then there's nothing there to... We only spent time there near the parking lot. Yeah, the sector parking and then
There are so many good places just close to the parking lot that it's hard to just
yeah, exactly.